Hello, let's discuss on indigenous practices and tribal culture. What is indigenous practices? Indigenous practices are practices that are based on the tribal knowledges or the indigenous knowledges. Now, some of the indigenous practices that are practiced in our country to conserve nature are: the first one is collection and storage of rainwater. The second is celebration of festivals that is related to nature and its resources. The third is the protection of sacred groves in different part of the countries. And the next one is worshipping of trees and celebration of Van Mahotsava, Earth Day and Environmental Day. So these are some of the traditional or indigenous practices that are being followed to conserve nature. Now, indigenous practices are most of the time eco-friendly and they have many powerful advantages. So let's discuss on some of the advantages of indigenous practices. The first one is the indigenous practices are widely believed to conserve natural resources as they are eco-friendly. The second is that these knowledges or practices are also better adapted as they are most of the time, as they are eco-friendly and better and have better social setup. The third is that these practices also provide the basis for solving the problems of the local community, especially the poor. And the fifth, and the fourth advantages is that these some of the knowledges of some of the indigenous knowledges are found to be socially desirable, affordable, even sustainable, and have involve minimum risk to the rural people. So these are some of the advantages of the indigenous practices. Now next, let's discuss on forest garden. In country like Java, these forest gardens have existed for many centuries. In this land, that is in the forest garden, a range of products with high food value like fruits, vegetables, meats and eggs are obtained on the permanent basis. Even livestock are grown in this garden, like particularly the poultry, and these form an important component for a forest garden. Here, the sheep are also reared along with other vegetations, and these sheep are reared and the sheep are fed upon by the forages that are being provided by by the vegetation that is being grown in this forest garden. Apart from this, animals also plays an important role in nutrient cycling, and even aquatic cultures are also maintained, uh, like ponds for rearing fishes. So these aquatic lives are also grown together with other animals, poultry and the vegetation that is grown in that particular gardens. So this garden follows natural ways of nutrient cycling, like it help in natural ways of nutrient cycling. At the same time, it also help in the decompositions of the uh, leaves and the twigs that have been grown, that have been fallen from the trees or from other vegetation that is grown in that particular forest. Now these leaves or twigs are being decomposed by the microorganism that is present in that particular gardens. So this enables sufficient this provides sufficient values and also help to maintain the soil fertility, and there is no need for any chemical fertilizer. So in this type of forest garden, indigenous practices are being used and there is no use of other chemical fertilizers. And so these type of forest gardens in the countries like Java are being run mainly by the indigenous knowledge alone. Now let's discuss on shifting cultivation. What is shifting cultivation? Shifting cultivation is an agricultural practices whereby the forest is cleared and then that particular forest is being used for growing crops for a short time. Now, what are the disadvantages of this shifting cultivation is that shifting cultivation increases the chances of soil erosion. The second is that it also leads to loss of biodiversity, as once forest is cut down, these forests are being burned. So while burning, many vegetation, many important biodiversity are being lost. So it also leads to biodiversity loss. And the third is that it can also lead to deforestation, because when the soil fertility is exhausted, farmers move on and clear another areas for its cultivation again. So these are some of the disadvantages of shifting cultivation. Now the next topic will be aquaculture. When we say aquaculture, we are referring to rearing or cultivation of aquatic life. Now, the practice of farming the aquatic animals in water bodies are called as aquaculture. Now, what is the benefits of this aquaculture is that aquaculture increases the production of food for human consumptions. Second is that it also provides employment opportunities in the rural areas, and also provides a business opportunities. And the third is that it also helps in creating a national exports. So these are some of the benefits of aquaculture. Now, the next one will be, you should be discussing on soil fertility management practices. Now, in indigenous practices, farmers have developed indigenous techniques to improve and manage the soil fertility. In some countries like Africa, it is observed that termite mounds are used for growing crops like sorghum and cowpea. In some other country like Mexico, the ant refuse are used for increasing the soil fertility in order to grow crops like tomato, chili, and onions. In other countries like Senegal, acacia tree are used to increase or manage the soil fertility. This acacia tree used to shed their leaf during wet season. So during the wet season, when this acacia tree shed their leaf, plants crops like sorghums and millets are grown, so that these sorghum and millets require maximum sunlight. Therefore, when the leaf is fallen, these people in countries like Senegal, they used to grow sorghum and millets, so that they can get, this plant can get maximum sunlight. At the same time, the leaf that is shaded or that is fallen on the soil also get decomposed and provides nutrient for growing of these sorghums and millets. Now, during the dry season, the roots of this acacia trees also draws nutrients from the deep soil, and these nutrients nutrients are being provided to the neighboring crops. So this is how indigenous practices are used in different part of the country to manage soil fertility and grow crops. Now let's discuss on the pest control practices. In country like China, indigenous knowledge are being used to control pests. Now, in China, precious ants nests are placed on the orange tree in order to control the attack of insect. So here the farmer put the nest of the precious ant in one orange tree, and the orange tree in that particular area will be fitted or connected to each other by putting a bridges. It may be a bamboo bridge or whatever, so that the ant can move from one orange tree to another orange tree. So on the process, when they are moving from one tree to another tree, the ant can kill or eat away the insect that are attacking the orange tree. So this provides, so this indigenous knowledge provides the eco-friendly way for controlling the insect pest without without resorting to chemical fertilizers. In country like Sri Lanka, large trees are grown around the paddy field to provide nesting for bird. Now during the growing season of the paddy plant, these peoples in country like Sri Lanka, they grow this large tree so that the birds can come and nest over the tree. So when any insect like caterpillar attack the paddy field, the these are the farmers of this paddy field, they place the food at the weak support at the sunset. So this light at the sunset attract the birds, since once the food is placed on the weak support of the paddy plant, the bird will be attracted to that food. So when the bird fly or descend down from the tree to eat that food, the weak support falls, and hence the food that is placed on that weak support also falls down. So while bird descend down to eat that food, they sight the caterpillar or any insect that is attacking the paddy, and hence they eat away the caterpillar that is attacking the paddy field. So this is how the indigenous knowledge are being used all over the world in order to control pests. So these are some of the indigenous knowledge which are using till date, and then helping or reducing the use of pesticides or other chemical fertilizers.